So we open on this guy, Lewis, being examined in a hospital after having been in a car accident.
You'll have the granddaddy of all headaches for a couple of weeks and maybe some double vision.
He suffered a mild head injury, but he'll be fine.
Lewis, when I told you to come to the hospital, I didn't mean you should put yourself in it.
Ironically, he was on his way to the hospital to visit his mother, who has cancer, which they were operating on. And apparently they weren't able to get it all.
We'll proceed with the radiation therapy. There are new drugs to control the pain of the coming weeks. We can always hope for a remission, and new procedures are being developed all the time.
Basically, it looks kind of bleak, but he's trying to keep Lewis's spirits up.
Oh, Lewis.
But yeah, Lewis isn't well enough to get up yet, so he'll be able to see his mother in the morning. That night, he's woken up by thunder and is compelled to go to his mother's room.
Mom, it's me.
Where he kind of walks in on something. Holy crap, this is uncomfortable. Anyway, it seems to be releasing something into her neck that looks like slugs. Yeah, I'd pass out too. That was just wrong. He wakes up back in his bed and finds he has a roommate now.
When they brought you back a couple hours ago, said you were screaming and carrying on something fierce when you got in your mommy's room.
Apparently, it wasn't a dream, or at least he really was in his mother's room.
Hellfire, boy, you lucky you just got a bump on the head, what makes you a mite crazy. Most of us on this floor in for the big C.
This poor guy's name is Jack, and he has a really aggressive cancer of some kind.
3 months here, and they took out about everything I had 2 of. And some things I only had 1 of. So now they just zap me with radiation, fill me up full of drugs that make me puke.
It's like they say, if the disease doesn't kill you, the treatment will.
Since I can't sleep most nights anyhow, I prescribe me my own medicine.
I don't know if it's a good idea to be mixing alcohol with all those drugs he's probably having to take.
Regular patients get upset with us terminal cases.
Then he says something kind of interesting.
Makes it easier for the damn night critters to find us too.
Which gets Lewis thinking about what he saw last night. Maybe he's not the only one who has seen it.
Oh, just things I seen while in my DTs, boy. Nothing real.
Yes, it is. You got a glimpse of something that shouldn't be here.
Later, he tries to talk to the doctor about it, who naturally thinks he hallucinated it.
It's some thing that plants these slugs in people. It may be from a different dimension. I don't know. Maybe it coexists with us. It's just that we can't see it.
Lewis thinks that his head injury is allowing him to see it, and most others can't.
That produce certain types of pressures on certain parts of our brain. Maybe it has something to do with the cancer. Maybe what we think are tumors are like eggs to these things that incubate in us.
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
Maybe they plant these slugs in us and let them multiply. Maybe they multiply and then they harvest them for food later, like vampires.
Yeah, you aren't helping your case now.
I mean, think about this. This cancer scourge is like an invasion, and it's a recent one.
That actually is an interesting point. Cancer has become a lot more common recently in historical terms.
But we don't need vampires to explain this recent so-called cancer scourge. I mean, in this day and age, we're surrounded by carcinogens.
Oh, carcinogens. You medical experts, you want us to believe in carcinogens, and you don't even know where tumors come from.
Yeah, they do. It's when cells divide and grow excessively.
And you do.
Yes! Cancer... vampires.
Cancer vampires. So now that he's quieted down, the doctor gives his theory.
You're very concerned about your mother. You've also had a very serious subdural hematoma, which is causing low-grade hallucinations.
Basically that his mind came up with a theoretical enemy that he could fight to save his mother, instead of the intangible cancer that she actually has.
I want you to shape up and stop this silly nonsense about cancer vampires.
Lewis is just about convinced, then... Sometime later, Lewis gets to watch Jack getting radiation therapy. At first I thought this was just monsters being cheesy and inaccurate, but Lewis is actually the only one seeing those bolts of electricity.
You're not seeing something, are you?
He also sees some of the slug-looking larvae climbing out of Jack and then die. But one survives and goes back in.
Wait a second. There wasn't enough time. You didn't give enough radiation.
28.6 seconds. It's pretty precisely enough time for this treatment.
What's the source of your radiation?
Radioisotopes of cobalt-60.
Lewis asks to see the device they use for the radiation, and he watches very closely as the radiologist uses a combination to get it out of a safe.
My mom's gonna be receiving those treatments.
The actual isotopes are tiny, but very dangerous. Have you seen enough?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen enough.
That night he calls out to Jack, who doesn't answer. And there's the creature sucking the slugs back out. So Lewis goes straight to the safe and gets the device out. Not sure if it's a good idea to hold it like that, even with gloves. Well, that's definitely a bad idea. What the hell? Then he goes to visit his mom.
I woke up on a stormy night just like tonight. You were sitting on the edge of my bed. It was like you were trying to protect me from the storm. But I wanted to tell you that nobody can protect anybody. The best anyone can do is to run. I think I'm through running for a while. Time to see if this is gonna do any good.
And I guess he absorbed the radiation without it killing him, and he's going to cure his mother with it. This took a very Silver Age comic book turn that I did not expect. But yeah, it draws out 2 slugs that go into him. I guess he's attracted the mother creature and it phases through a wall. Since people can't see them, I guess it's okay that they can be incorporeal. It's about to go after the mom again, but then...
Hey!
It's all, excuse me? It pulls the poison slugs out of him. And the radiation kills it. Blech. Lewis goes to his mom and...
I'd like to stay. I'd like to see your face when Dr. Hubbard tells you that all those tumors are gone. I don't know how much time that I have.
Oh, the radiation is killing him.
Love you, Mom.
Aww. And so ends the offering. Wow, this was a ride. The episodes of Monsters I've covered since my return to making videos have been fine, but most of those didn't really jump out at me or get a visceral reaction. Also, the titular monsters have been small and cute, unseen and represented by a statue, in one case completely non-existent, others have been humanoid and sometimes comedic, but this one is just absolutely repulsive. I guess it's kind of bug-like, but fleshy, and those eyes, ugh. It's just so gross and creepy and terrifying. I can't even remember the last time a monster got this kind of reaction out of me. But it's meant to symbolize cancer, so that makes sense. Go FX department. This definitely makes up for Perchance to Dream. This was a very strange episode too, but in a good way. I think it's neat when a story tries to create kind of a modern mythology to explain something that a lot of people don't understand, even when there is a scientific explanation. I like the idea that people only think they know it causes cancer, but it's really something mystical or sci-fi-ish. And the reason some cancers are very aggressive is because the creature is very persistent. You don't have to believe it to find it intriguing. This is also a rare episode that doesn't lean into comedy at all. Aside from Jack being a pretty quirky character, this episode is pretty serious and, again, it's kind of about cancer, so that feels appropriate. The only things bothering me a little bit are that the hint that the doctor may have cancer isn't followed up on, and we don't know what happened to Lewis's mother. But Lewis's tragic death at the end makes that feel kind of natural. His life is cut short, so the story, told from his perspective, is as well. The Doctor was played by Orson Bean, who has been around since the 50s and has been in a million things, and I know I've seen him before. He was a recurring character on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, which I used to watch, so I guess that must be it. He was also the voice of Bilbo in an animated movie based on The Hobbit by Rankin and Bass in 1977, which I'm pretty sure I've also seen. The director of this one was Ernest Farino, who is mostly known for VX work, but he also directed Mannequins of Horror and A Bond of Silk. Those two were also mainly straight horror that was mostly effective, definitely his strong point. He has one more episode coming and I'm looking forward to it. And that's about all I have to say about this episode other than it's gonna stay with me for a while. Next up is Far Below. See you then. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Here are some other videos you might be interested in, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to further support my channel, there's always Patreon.
Cancer vampires.